What's going on between EV competitors such as BYD, Tesla, and NIO in China and their pricing strategies? Well, I found this tweet quite interesting here by Tyler Organ yesterday, who tweeted, while everyone is cutting prices in China, BYD is raising prices. It's a demand thing, you see. And my reply or quote tweet was actually, here is my view. Tesla is repositioning more into the mass market, forwarding cost efficiencies while keeping margins flat. BYD has got thin margins. They need to raise prices to save the bottom line. They will cut later again. And for NIO, the positioning has now been established. No cuts and temporary margin compression. So what do I mean by that? First of all, BYD is highly successful. They are doing a great job. They're selling huge amounts of cars in China that are partly hybrid cars, to be frank, and some of them are fully electric. And so this is nowhere to criticize BYD as a company, but I just want to outline like how these companies are actually differentiating in their strategies right now. So yes, I've reported about the price cuts of Tesla in China between 5 to almost 10%. There's even rumors of new price cuts. And I think what the author of this tweet here is outlining is that there is a demand issue for some of these brands, and therefore they have to cut the prices. While there might be some truth to that, basically, of course, it's end of the year, there's a push. We need to make great numbers, big numbers. And also, Chinese economy hasn't been doing so well, and actually even maybe in the world and on the global level, we're going into a Fed-induced recession because of all of the rate hikes. Therefore, yes, partly might be due to filling the order books. However, in the case of Tesla, I've pointed out before that I do think that this is actually a way of repositioning into this bigger chunk, the total addressable market that is bigger in general at a lower price level than where they are currently. It has also something to do with tapping into some of the subsidies that are available in China. And so for me, this is a very natural way for Tesla to progress their pricing and moving a bit more downwards. And they can do so because they have high efficiencies with ramping up not only Shanghai, but in the future also their global plants. And so basically, all of the cost efficiencies that are gaining, they could technically forward them to the consumer in some way while keeping their margins at a level where they currently are. So that's not really changing something with their earnings, but they can increase their volume. And as you know, that's not my goals, but Tesla has outlined that they want to sell millions of cars, 10 to 20 million cars a year, so becoming one of the big manufacturers. And with their current models actually fairly high priced, in my point of view, that would not be possible because there's just not such a large demand at this price point. So they have to naturally come down. And I think that's where they're progressing to. Also, to acknowledge this, competition in China is fairly high. So Tesla is, of course, also facing some repositioning issues here when we see that NIO, which are higher priced currently, are also coming down a little bit now with the ET5, not due to price cuts. So that's why I say NIO remains flat. But with lower priced models that they're introducing. And NIO is giving a little bit more on top, right? In terms of service, in terms of the product quality, in terms of the interior functionalities, all of that is something on an added value that Tesla simply doesn't have. So it's just a natural progression here to for Tesla to move a little bit more downstream, while NIO might be more positioned towards Mercedes-Benz, Audi, and so on. Where yes, we also have seen those big price cuts by Mercedes, the EQE, EQS. In China, up to $30,000 US in a price cut. So that's a huge one. And that's also because their models are simply very, very expensive. And now there's new models around like the NIO ET7, which has well, not exactly, but almost the same luxury feeling to it. It's certainly more modern, and it's simply a better bang for the price, right? So you get much more value out of it. You get a much more simplified model in terms of the user experience, but also maybe even the sleek design. So, well, Mercedes-Benz simply may have a hard time competing. So yes, they need to reduce their prices in order to create more demand. That's for sure. Also BMW, we've seen with the electric cars in China, they're now having to reduce their prices. And so, yeah, that's just a natural progression there. Now, for BYD, why are they increasing prices? Partly must be, yes, I'm not doubting that they have great demand for their cars, because simply they are very, very affordable. So as you see here, they're starting at 100K. So, you know, basically you could buy 3 BYD for 1 Neo model here, or even 4. And so they have to increase their prices currently, in my views, mostly because of their thin margins and the issues with the lithium prices going up, and even more prices of input materials going up. And so they need to compensate for that, because ultimately otherwise they're not even making money on a car, and they cannot simply go out and gift the cars to their customers, right? They need to make money on that. So I think that's the major reason for the price increases of 1 to 5%. And so I do expect them to cut those prices again after the prices, for example, for lithium is coming down again as well. And for Neo, for now, I do not expect price cuts really. Maybe if they're desperate for orders, but I would argue they have full order books for the ET5. And for the latest models, for the older ones, they may need at some point better incentives to sell them still, because as I've mentioned, I think the Chinese consumer always wants the latest stuff. So these models are simply, the NT 1.0 platform models are simply at some point not attractive anymore against the new fleet that's coming out. And so frankly, that's also why NIO will introduce or bring those models onto the latest platform next year. So this is my take here. Let me know down in the comments whether or not you agree with that. That's it for now from my side. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like, subscribe, the usual stuff. Consider supporting us on Patreon, and then see you in the next one.